Hi, everybody. Welcome to this episode on Mandy Speaks Up. Today, we're going to speak with another fighter survivor from the Potter's House CFM. So, this is an organization that is international and worldwide. If you've heard any of my other interviews or my podcast episodes, you'll be familiar with what we're going to talk about. But today, we have Vicenta here, and this is her first time speaking her story. I do want to do trigger warning essay, and I do want everybody to know that this is her first time sharing her story. So we're going to be very gentle. And anybody else that's ever escaped this place, if you're watching or if you are in the middle of trying to leave, if you can safely listen to this video, I want to welcome every listener to this episode. And with my whole heart, I first of all want to say so sorry for everything we're going to talk about that you experienced today. Thank you so much for being so brave and coming on here. You reached out to me, and these are those that have reached out to me and asked to share their story. In no way am I like trying to find people to bring down this organization. This is the stories of real people, just like I've shared my story. And so Vicenta here left the Potter's House CFM organization after 13 years. And this is a story about it's so much sorrowful. It's filled with sorrow, but it's also filled with somebody who is still here with us, even after times where perhaps she wanted to end it after all the things that she went through inside of this place. But she's here. She's going to speak to us. And I am so thankful that you are here to speak and share your story. Maybe it's going to help somebody out there. It's going to change somebody's outlook on what really goes on in this place. And then we're also going to talk about how we do believe it's a cult according to the way cults are portrayed online by professionals. So we're going to go and jump into your story, Vicenta. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. My name is Vicenta Arroyo Nixon. And before we start, um, if you're one of my children, just know that your mother did what she needed to do when I left your father. And this is a really heavy interview. So please, if you're ready to hear mommy's story, go on. But if you're not ready, please stop the video now.
Yes. So, Vicenta, you and your ex-husband actually became leaders of two different Potter's House organizations inside of this place. You were trained to be a pastor's wife. And we're going to start at the beginning of your story, but you shared something that really stood out to me at the beginning on how you found this place. You know, you moved to Colorado, but you visited this place because a friend asked you to visit to see if it was a cult. And when you visited it, but instead you ended up joining it because mostly and mainly you said because of the community, which is something that a lot of people get drawn into this place. One of their tactics is love bombing, but the community really does suck people in. And so it's totally understandable. So if you want to share with with that.
So, um, so my ex-husband and I, on Sundays, we would go to disc golf leagues, and then afterwards we would have brunch. And one of the buddies brought his wife, and she started coming, and we became friends. And she's like, my son wants to go spend the night at his buddy's house, but the dad's a pastor or something. Uh, will you go next Sunday with me to see if it's a cult or not? And I'm like, okay. And I didn't see anything wrong with the church. It was the pastor and his wife and his three kids. And I I came from Minnesota. Like my whole family's in Minnesota, and I come from a huge family. So, like, just going from just my ex-husband and I, and then going to that, I felt like it felt good. And we took these kids fishing and like taught them how to go fishing, and like um we would have cookouts. Like we would come over and uh bring over fish and have fish fries. Like they really do know, they know what they're doing.
Hmm. Yeah, I liked how you shared, some of the fun things and the community things that they do, because it does pull you in when they are doing things that feel like the good, like, you know what I mean? They're doing things for kids. And but then can you share what you joined, and so there are some good things about it. And that's what initially kept you there, which is normal, understandable. It makes people understand of how somebody can join this place or be recruited, and then actually stay there, because a lot of times people who don't understand from the outside, how can somebody stay in there 13 years? How can somebody keep going? Because there are things that are community and gatherings, and you moved from Minnesota, you don't have much people to, and so these people are now taking over your life initially and eventually. And so this is all you're starting to know. So you're taking the good, but you're not realizing the things that end up taking place. So you end up becoming trained. You and your ex-husband, or your husband at the time, you start becoming trained to be leaders. How does that, what does that look like to be trained?
Um, got called um one of the um conferences that they had. We both got called um to be pastors, like when they prayed, do you want to become a pastor? So then we went up, and then that's when because we were going to the church for like 3 years at this point now, and um, I had told the pastor, because I felt like I needed to, told him that we were smoking pot and we weren't quite right. So 3 years down the line, we got set down for 6 months, like um, uh, because we were part of the church but knew better. You know what I mean?
A sat down,
So
that like discipline?
yeah, and then after that, um, um, our pastor said, or when we got sat down, as soon as we told him, or as soon as I told him everything, he's like, every single event that's going on, you guys are attending, whether it's here or Denver or like the Springs or whatever's going on, and you can make it, you're gonna be there. So then,
Was that like
um,
your punishment?
kinda, I guess,
Like, because you're not following the rules, now you have to attend everything?
yeah, pretty much. Um, so that happened, and then um, my ex started. The way they train you up is uh, you have to preach. So at this time, 3 years later, there's a pastoral change. So it's not the wife and the three kids. It's a wife and a husband and their like 9-month-old baby. Um, so I always felt and I always knew that this pastor, he never liked me. I just knew that. Um, but I'm sorry, my ex would preach like on Wednesdays. It's a great honor to preach on a Sunday morning. So like guys that are training will preach Sunday night or Wednesdays, when there's a little bit less people. Um, we would I love the camaraderie. Like I love the gathering of people, making food, all that. So I would make like a giant pot of like literally half my size, a big Mexican menudo pot, you know, of chicken noodle soup. And then we'd go to the church and um just fellowship, or we would do music outreach, or like just hang out and play music and just practice or whatever.
So you're discussing all the things that are kind of like keeping you there, right? Like you're being trained, they're doing they're it's community things, gatherings, you're loving it, you're enjoying yourself, you're being trained. Um, so what year, whenever you got sent out with your husband at the time to start this church, and they
I
told, mm-hmm,
I'm sorry. I think it was 2016, 2015, 2016
mm-hmm.
through 2018.
So now you're really stuck. It's been 3 years. You're really deep into it now. Now the tactics of following the rules. You can't do this. You can't do that. If they find out that you're going against any of their rules, you will be sat down and disciplined, and then they will have ways to come back up to the level of being respected again. And so you have all this set. So this is already going on. So this is actually tactics to keep you like firm into the organization. And so now you are going to take, well, not you. We have to declare that because you're, the man is in charge. So he becomes the pastor, and now your job is just to be a wife and a mother. And the past
Sole job.
and the pastor tells you that, right?
So I'm in Brighton. Um, I'm feeling very alone now. All that all that is gone. We're out in the field. Um, I remember the pastor telling me, "You are not to be friends with these people. These people are not your friends. They're your disciples. You can be friends and you can't call the people from my church, um, because you need to find your own disciples and you need to learn how to be out there by yourself." And I remember we had some children and like of age for youth group, and they had a little bit of kids for youth group, and I asked if we could combine, and he said absolutely not. And I'm just like, what the heck is going on? Like, my ex is working, like, sometimes he would get home at like 7, 8 at night. So I would literally be a single parent in a marriage, because he would just get home and just like shed his clothes, eat, go to bed, and then do it again. And I was just so freaking lonely. And I had um, called the pastor and I said, I can't do this. I don't want to be a pastor's wife anymore. Like, I'm done. Um, I'm very suicidal. I don't know what to do, and I don't want to do this anymore. And he rebuked me. And for those of you that don't know what that means, is I basically got in trouble for having those thoughts. Those thoughts are of the devil. What do you mean you don't want to be on this earth and you're being suicidal? What do you mean you don't want to be a pastor's wife? If, listen, Vicenta, or back then they called, everybody would call me VC. He said VC, or my pastor would call me these. You know, if you're not going to be out in the field and want to do God's work, if you don't want to do this, how is going to fulfill his duty and building a church? Like, if you don't want to do it, you are what is the words I'm trying to say? It'll be a dishonor to Tim, because then he won't be able to do God's word, and it would be my fault. And there would be multiple times that my mom would come because our marriage is falling apart, and um the the counseling sessions we would have with this pastor were awful. Like, I don't know in what counseling sessions um they are, like in the real world. Like, my counseling sessions consisted of my pastor, and he's young. He's a a month. No, I think I'm older. Anyways, so we would have marriage um counseling, and I'm sorry for my language, but it, when guys like try to um sorry for my language, but like try to hide a boner. You know how guys, when they move around, do that. So when he would talk to us, he would be very fidgety and like around his crotch and like move his pants around. It would make me very uncomfortable. And I'm just like, what the heck is going on? And he would tell me that um, my sole purpose is to be a mother to my children and a wife to my husband. And I need to do certain things. Basically, I need to keep my husband sexed up, because if he's not, then bad things could happen. And um, one of the bad things that could happen is um, on multiple occasions, I would be sleeping with my husband, and I would wake up with him inside of me. And I would tell the pastor this, and it's completely okay. Like, you didn't do your job. Like, you should have kept him sexed up. Like, that's your job. Like, you have two things to do: is be a mother to your children and to keep your husband sexed up. If you don't keep him sexed up, he could potentially cheat on you. That would be your fault. So like, I'm just sitting back like, oh my God, this isn't this isn't okay. And um slowly but surely I was um, just thinking in my head, like, this isn't how normal people are. Like, this isn't, something is off here.
I'm so sorry that that happened to you because SA as a wife um, is normalized, and you're not the first, um, former wife of a leader inside this place that even used the exact words that you used. I have others in my other episodes that have used, or one for sure has used that exact wording on how you need it to be like that for to your husband. And the thing is that it was so normalized that you didn't even know that it was actually rape until you shared your story with a family member.
Yep. My niece, I was sharing with her, a little bit of what I've gone through, and mentioning that I would wake up with him inside of me. And she's like, Tia, that's, that's rape. I'm like, how? He's my husband. That's, that was my job. Like, I didn't, I did it to myself. She's like, Tia, no, 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 no.
Mm.
So yeah, that was a big eye opener.
And what is one thing you feel that if you could go back and tell that younger self of your, like, as a wife in that organization, if you could go back and tell that part of you, that younger self as a wife inside of that place, what is something that you would tell her?
Um, Stand up for yourself. I remember we're very recent, like going back and being really into the church. I remember the pastor, we went out to eat, and like, I'm a freaking hippie, dude. Like, always have been. Uh, so I hardly ever shave. And the pastor was sitting next to me, and he rubs from my freaking calf to my knee, like that, against my, right there, like that, and said, you should probably shave for your husband. And right then and there, like, I always go back to that moment. Like, why did you just sit there? Why did you just sit there? You should have said something right there. And then at that same freaking table, it was like there was like 15 of us. And um we're they were talking about um how men need to shave, you know, and he's like, some women need to shave too, BC. And I'm just like, what? Um, who needs freaking bullies when you have your pastor?
What do you feel is helped you? You say you had these, suicidal thoughts when you were this wife inside of this place, and what helped you survive? I mean, I know therapy and all of that is they're against that. You can't go outside of this place. You were having these counseling sessions with the same, leader that was actually shaming you and condemning you and rebuking you. So how in the hell did you survive? Like, what would be something that you can say looking back that helped you stay alive?
My three kids. My three kids. I was a stay-at-home mom for a long time. And those three little beans, they're my reason for living and will always be my reason to live. They always say, um, to cherish them when they're little, because they're only little for a little bit, for a little time. You can only hold them in your arms for so long, like carry them like a baby. And all the bad that did happen in that church, I mean cold, really, is that I had the opportunity to be home with my children
Mm.
because they didn't have to go to daycare. They didn't have to deal with other kids or whatever, like I did. The thing that keeps me going then and now is I did that. My children are who they are because I did that. The first 6 years of their life, I was with them. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, I did that. They're so freaking awesome because I was able to stay home with them.
Hmm. Well, we're so thankful that you are here and that they were a part of your life. And, that is something that is extremely encouraged in that place as, a wife and a mom. That's your only purpose. They do discourage education. I know as my time there, they discouraged education,
Hmm.
and so that's something that's normal. But and I love that, so I was also a stay-at-home mom, and I was there with my two kids, and that's something that I never regret. I feel like that's like one of the only things that was like a real choice for me, is like that I did enjoy that. Um, but like for me, really quickly, like I'll never forget when I finally left that place and I got a job. And I remember a coworker, he didn't know my story. And he was like, I was talking to him and telling him like I had been a stay-at-home mom for years and years. And now I was working this little part-time job while my kids were in school. And I remember, I'll never forget him looking at me and asking, because usually when I would tell people that, they're like, oh, that's cool, blah, blah, blah. But he looked at me as a man and he said, oh, was that your choice?
Mm.
And I had never seen it like that. I didn't even know what to say. Like, and then he walked away. And I'll never forget that because it was for the first time that I was like, answered myself. Answered myself with the question that he asked. And I'm like, you know what? I don't even know if that was my choice. I don't regret it. I enjoyed it. I loved it. I'm so thankful for it. But his question, just from an outside point of view, it was like, would I have chosen that? Like, was that really my choice? Like, if I could have, because I was a young mom and that was just expected of you to have kids. And I don't know if you had kids before this place or you had them inside of that place, but I had my
How old were you when you had your kids?
they married me off in that place at 17. And so then I was pregnant at 18. So I became a really young mom right away. And
Dang.
I didn't even graduate like high school. Instead of graduating high school, they married me to an older man. So that I didn't really know. So here I am. You know what I mean? So of course. So then when I leave, I don't even. I like had to have my first full-time job, and I used to cry because I didn't even know how to. I was used to staying home or taking care of my kids, and now my kids were older when I left, when I escaped, but it was still different, and it was like really like being independent and having to take care of myself now, which I'm thankful for that. Learning independence and learning to take care of myself after being a stay-at-home mom and a wife since I had been 17 years old.
Well, I mean, these people need to understand too that, when you do application and they say job history,
We didn't have any.
what do you put down? Homemaker? People don't care.
They don't. They're like, they still do that? They're like, women still do that?
Oh, right. I remember my freaking sister's like, wait, so all of you ladies don't work? I'm like, no, there's some, um, yeah, sister, all of them don't work. She's like, do you find that any like weird? I'm like, no, it's a blessing. What do you mean? That I get to just, she's like, yeah, yeah.
That's funny. Um, but the next question I want to ask you is, how did you wake up, right? Like everybody wants to know this question. How did you escape or wake up? Because I know that you left and woke up in 2020 when you stopped attending the meetings online since everything was shut down. Um, and but then the leaders, the pastors, showed up unannounced to your home. They go inside of your home. You ask them to leave. They tell you no, and they're demanding to know why you have stopped attending. So if you want to share that.
Well, it was probably a few months before. It was like summertime. Um, when I sent my pastor, okay, so I'm severely dyslexic. My reading level is very low. So if I send you a long message, good freaking luck trying to read it. Anyways, I sent him a 2 day long message saying that I don't want to be a part of the church. I I'm done being in the limelight. Like, this isn't for me. Like, that this is hurting my mental health. Like, I will pursue God, but somewhere else. Like, I don't want to be in your band anymore. And that's music is what kept me there, honestly. Like, I loved playing the drums. Like, you get to make so much noise. Hello. And I have so much anger built up. The drums are like the greatest, right? So that's what kept me.
How you escaped and you ended up
Yes.
fleeing back to Minnesota after they
So,
found you.
yes. Um, the pandemic happened, and I would always tell like my family and friends, COVID was a curse and a blessing because it shut the world down and it gave me the opportunity to be like, I'm not dead, okay, but nobody's going to church right now.
Mhm.
And like, I could just like bzzz, fast forward like the entire sermon or like skip through, like, yeah, I saw the sermon.
Right.
It, and like, my just remember so vividly, like at conference, You know, when everybody's quiet and the pastor's up there talking, I remember like intrusive thoughts. I'm like, I wonder if I stand up and just scream right now. I wonder what they would do. Because that's how I felt inside. Like, what, what would they do? Like, would I be like, would they cast out demons? Like, I don't know. So when 2020 finally came and I wasn't getting fed, like, I wasn't dead or dying. And I'm okay. In fact, the one who is dead and dying is my pastor. Like, they always preach that if you do bad things, then bad things happen to you. Like, you give yourself cancer, is
Right.
what they preach, right?
Right. Curses. Yeah.
Can you say a little bit about that? Because not a lot of people know. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. So they believe that certain things give you diseases and curses. So um, like breast cancer, like thyroid disease, like can be connected to like you speaking against the leader, you not being a submissive wife. Like if you think about leaving, you can be cursed. If you talk against this place, you can be cursed with an illness, a car wreck, an accident. Things will happen to you. So this is what keeps us very fearful. We're like fearful. And when somebody gets sick, if you leave and they get sick, they're like, yeah, see, that's why they got sick. That's why one family they left the church and their teenage son ended up passing away. And I remember them saying like, well, if they would have been in church, their son wouldn't have passed away. Like basically that's what you get. Like that's what happens.
yeah.
And so that's very normalized too. So like if your anxiety, like all of this is not supposed to happen to you. So if something like that happens to you, then you're sinning, you're not tithing, you're being bad. But your pastor got cancer.
So
And
with all that said, yes, indeed.
so did that
And
kind
I remember we're on the phone and I was like, Pastor, why? Why did you get cancer? Why? Tell me. He's like, can I tell you? I'm like, please. He's like, this it's because I ate very unhealthy. And that's why I have colon cancer. I'm like, oh, so you did this to yourself. But wait, okay,
I
okay.
thought he was gonna say like he sinned or something like because he was thinking about leaving or something because he like was like, oh, I just, I mean, and like let me just say like, I don't believe that, people are getting sickness and illness because of something they're like they're like doing, right? Like I was a bad person. So now, God cursed me with cancer. But that's what they make you believe. And then you believe that. So then he gets cancer. You're like, oh my God, like what the fuck did you do? And then he's like, oh,
What is going on right now?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like what sin are you committing that you don't want to tell us? But that's it's just crazy how like it's like two-way street. Like this happens because you're like this, but then it happens to them and they're like, oh, well, it was just because I didn't eat healthy. But it's like they didn't never talk about like that whenever it's like you can get a sickness for that. It's always like, you're going to get a sickness because you're talking against the leader or you're accusing a leader of doing something to you. Now you're going to get sick.
Hmm.
It's like so messed up. But it makes sense that it's a cult because this is the way cults operate. And we're going to end it here soon about like why this place could be called a cult, a high control organization, um,
Yeah.
a toxic environment. But I want to know, like, how is it going back into the real world, like
Oh,
after
girl.
13 years?
Like we said a little bit earlier, like, what the hell do you put on your resume? And like, my first job was um, working with infants at at a daycare.
Mm,
Um,
because we were good at that because we always had to take care of kids.
Girl, like, I would walk away and the kids would cry. Like, they would cry for me. Like, I would get in the mat and they would all crawl up to me. Like, yes, that's what we were called to do for sure.
That was one of my first full-time jobs too. I actually, yeah,
Really?
because we were so good at it, and that's like
Yes.
I could literally, I had like experience in that. So literally, when I escaped and I was shunned and I moved hours away, like my first full-time job was like at a preschool, and I mean, at least I was good at that, you know. But
Hmm.
it's kind of sad because it's like we didn't have like I had to get my equivalency, you know, which is my high school equivalency at the age I was when I left, which was 17 and a half years after I was recruited into this place. So it's really sad. Like, how do you integrate back into society? Like, all these people, they told you were evil and were bad. Now you're a part of them. Like, how does that work?
It's so crazy because, like, one of your other interviewers,
Yeah.
Tiffany Navarro, she used to go to, like, her youth pastor ended up being my pastor.
Mm,
And like, going into the world, like, you don't know who you are. And like, I was explaining um who I was. She's like, and then I said my ex's name, and she's like, "Oh, your wife. I remember,
mm.
pastor wife. Yep." Like, after I said my ex's name,
She
that's how,
remembered you.
yeah, that's how people know you, as the
Right.
wife of whoever, right?
True.
So learning how to do life, how to grow grocery shopping, like, this dude never let me go grocery shopping.
What?
Like, yeah, I had like a $20 allowance.
What?
Like, and we were always like really hard up on money. And
Oh yeah.
like, now I had so much stress at the cashier, right? Like, I'm like, bitch, you're the one that you're the one making it. You're the one spending it. There's money in your account, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
PTSD trauma.
so like, um even like now, so I was worked at a nursery, right? And then at night I would work as a custodian. So now over here I work as a custodian, and just like having big trauma around, like, I had a huge panic attack when my boss brought me into the office and was
Yeah.
like, um can you we need I just want to talk to you about something real quick. I'm like, can you not do that, please? Can you just text me or do it outside of your office? Like, you don't You don't understand. And I was like crying my face off, and the dude's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I am so, I'm like, bro, it's not you. Like, it's totally me. Like, I have serious trauma against that, and it's not your fault, but like, dang, not do that again, please, or this will happen. Like, just learning who you are and your purpose in life. Like, I came from Minnesota because I had to flee abusive relationship with $500 in my pocket to Colorado. Now I have my own job, my own place, 3 bedroom, a vehicle that works and can
Congratulations.
go up the mountains. Like, I did that. And like,
Hmm.
I have so much fucking pride for myself. Like, the children are who they are because of you, mommy. Because of you. And
That's beautiful. No,
okay.
congratulations. It means a lot. And I love that you shared about like the trauma when it goes to like little things like that of when you leave and have to integrate back into society. Because I just told somebody the other day something that I hadn't shared. Like it's been so long ago, but my one of my first jobs that I got when I left the Potter's house and escaped and moved away, I remember even they would do meetings like twice, like every 2 weeks, they would do like a meeting and they would set the folding chairs in a circle. And this is at a preschool, and they would set the folding chairs in a circle after work. And and I would have to like walk to, and I would see the folding chairs in a circle, and I would go into anxiety. And I'm like, how am I supposed to share that with anybody? That like a folding chair, a metal folding chair puts me into a panic attack. And it's like nobody's going to understand that. And so, you know what I mean? So when you said about the meeting with your boss, that would trip me out too. These are little things that people will be like, what? No, like they it just shows how traumatic the things we went through. Because why are we feeling this? Why are we scared? Why am I scared? Basically traumatized over a metal folding chair. You're scared and having panic attacks when your boss says he wants to talk to you in the office, because these are the things that we had to deal with all the time. Your brain is remembering.
So I attend this. It's a very witchy. It's called Stone Soup, and we she talks about, what is it called, the all the witchy stuff or whatever, the planets and the signs and
Astrology.
all that. Yeah. And then like different people share different things, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like I said, it's very witchy. Like, my friend runs it. She's very freaking witchy, right? And it was the my first meeting, her first meeting, and we had the gathering of chairs. And
Mm-hmm.
I was just,
Mm.
and afterwards I'm like, bitch, do you know how I was gonna leave? Like, I was gonna leave. I thought someone was gonna stand up and start talking in tongues, bro. Like, I was so freaking, I was like, no, but you're in a safe space. Like, calm down. Like, this, no one's gonna, at least I hope no one stands up and talks. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Right. But it's like the safety, it takes time. I've been almost out for 7 years in June. Next month, it'll be 7 years. What about you? How long have you been out?
Since 2020.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Since 2020. So yeah, we're so brave, all the little things that we don't talk about. Like people hear our stories and it can be like gruesome and horrific, but then those like little things that like leaving and having to get your first full-time job and having to take care of yourself and like you having to go grocery shopping and not having an allowance anymore. Like it's your money, you can do what you want with it. Like these are so beautiful. Like for me, it was like my first tattoo that I ever got.
Oh, that was huge. Yeah.
Yes, the first tattoo, the first time I got to wear a bikini. Yay. And now
um,
being free.
going dancing,
I loved it.
just shaking your ass and like not even like, oh, this is me. Like I don't drink. I'm not much of a drinker, and if I do, it's like a couple or whatever,
Yeah.
right? But man, I just love to tear it up, dude. And that's like one thing that my kids loved uh growing up. They said, I always loved listening to your crazy Mexican music and dancing in the kitchen making food. Like
Oh.
that's one of their greatest memories.
Well, I'm glad that they have good memories like that. You know what I mean? I text my son for Mother's Day and told him like I hope because we escaped when he was 13 and
Oof.
I was like so he grew up, you know, and 13 years in there and I'm like I really hope that you don't have I hope that good memories surpass the memories of that place. Like I really hope so because like that's one of my biggest regrets even now is like having to raise him that long in that place because the things they have to deal with on their own and it's just it sucks because like you can be so hard on yourself as a mom like yeah I you didn't know better though like you didn't know better and you were doing with what you could with what you knew at the time so
Hmm.
there is no guilt or shame and it's like but it's still as a mom you're like gosh like I sometimes I'm like I would have rather never had kids in that place than to have had kids and have to see them deal with the things that they went through. And it's just terrible and it's really sad. But I just before we end it and bring it to your story to this ending point, I just want to share really fast like some points about like what is a cult. If
Yes,
you
please.
if you Google what a cult is, and there's going to be a devotion and loyalty to the leader, there's going to be a charismatic leader, unusual or extreme beliefs, control and manipulation, isolation and disconnection, doomsday visions. So this is like, you know, people who are outside of this place is going to go to hell. Um,
Hmm.
they potential for harm. So that can be devastating consequences for individuals if you leave, leading to emotional distress, financial ruin, physical harm, and even death. Um, so these are just like I'm going really fast, but usually there's like a leader you have to be devoted to. You're expected to demonstrate unwavering loyalty to this leader or to the group's ideology, often at the expense of your own personal life and relationship. Again, financial control as well. You may have to give a lot, big portions of your money to this place, but this is exploitation, either exploiting you financially and emotionally and suppressing critical thinking so you can't speak up. So yeah, these are just like some of the ways that this could be a cult for those that are like, no, I don't think this is a cult. It's just a crazy place. But yeah, if you look it up, and you can also look up the bite model. There,
Mm.
you know, there's psychologists and professionals out there that have researched places like this. And so, yeah, if you're in this place and for you to even question this place, that can be very damaging and very scary. So
Yeah.
I don't take that lightly. Like, if you're watching this, if you've escaped this place, if you just left this place and you're still believing that if you speak up against this place or even share your own personal story, like bad stuff can happen to you. Like, you can go to hell, you're going to die tomorrow in a car wreck. Like, this is real stuff that we believe and we have. So, like, you know, uh, professional help is out there, resources for you. I recommend those resources for you. I also recommend you going outside of this place and trying to find somebody that's not in the circle and in the community to get help, because there is help, but of course you have to do it safely, because when people leave, a lot of times they go back because they lose the community, they're shunned, they miss that, and now they don't have anybody, and they feel really alone, and the family that they were told not to communicate with are the only people they have, and sometimes that family does not want to speak to you because you were opposed to them trying to safely get you out of there. And so it can be a huge thing, but that's just some of the ways that it can be a cult as well. And I just want to end it and ask you one last question. If there's somebody watching or listening and they're wanting to leave the Potter's House CFM, what would you tell them?
Listen, I know you've probably been thinking about this for a while now, and you feel like your life's going to end if you leave. You feel like everything's going to go bad. You feel like the world's going to break open and you're going to fall through. But I can assure you that's not going to happen. I have really bad anxiety. I have all these things. I'm severely dyslexic. My reading level is very low. If someone like me can leave, you can too. All you got to do is believe in yourself and know that you can leave. And you're better leaving than staying. All the hurt, you can release it because this place is not of God. And it's okay to leave. God's not going to shoot down a bolt of lightning and strike you down. Take what you've learned in the Potter's house, like talking bad about people's witchcraft, like take things like that and live your life. But what's going on in that church right now is not okay. And there's a bunch of us to back it up. So it's okay, you can leave. And all these things are true. And what's going on in your life is true also. And it's okay, you can leave. Nothing bad's going to happen. I love you.
Thank you so much, Vicenta. I appreciate you, just you, because you're you, and the bravery that it takes. This hour that we spent here, but it doesn't. This is just like scratching the surface. It doesn't show everything, but I feel like you've shared enough of who you are and who you are today, and what it this experience made you to be, but it also gave you courage and bravery to stand up for yourself and to have
Mm-hmm.
boundaries now and to speak up for yourself when needed.
Yep.
And when you leave, everything doesn't get great. Now you deal with all the shit, and that is very painful and scary, and that's why support and resources and finding your own community now, but with your own decision making and with the help of professionals and those that you find that are going to help you, we had that, and that's what we need, and you still need that. But being able to make decisions for yourself, and that first decision can be walking away from this
Mm-hmm.
place. That can be the first decision that you will ever make for yourself after being in that place or being born into it or raised into it, whoever you are. But being able to make that one decision of walking away, that can change your life, and that can give you the life that you dream about and that you hope is for you, and it's real, and it can be out there, and we're proof, and we're still healing because it doesn't end. And we're healing.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, but you can heal in happiness, you can heal with pleasure, you can heal in your own decision making, you can heal in doing things for yourself that was considered evil and sinful in that place. But
Yep.
when you begin to figure out who you are and love yourself for who you are, and you realize that you're not a sinner, and you realize that you don't have to believe in the things that they believed in if you don't want to, and you're able to believe in whatever it is that you want to believe in, and that's okay. You're not going to go to hell, you're not going to be
Mm-hmm.
cursed, you're not going to be sinning. Like, when you can begin to create your own set, when you can create your own book, and you can put
Mm-hmm.
whatever you want in that book with your own study, your own researching, because you've already had enough life experience to make that decision on your own. You
Mm-hmm.
can do that. You can walk away if you want, or you can start asking questions. You can start researching yourself for yourself and see what comes out of that. And so I just want to again say thank you to my viewers and listeners. I am Mandy Valadez, my podcast, Mandy Speaks Up. You can find me on TikTok as well, and YouTube channel, Mandy Speaks Up, Spotify and Apple, Mandy Speaks Up. You can find my work that I do now to help others with their traumas spiritually at divinemandyoracle.com, and also on Instagram at divinemandyoracle. You can also find me on Facebook, under my name. Send me a message for if you just want to talk about your experience. You want to have somebody to share your experience with. It doesn't mean you have to come on my podcast. There are people who message me all the time and just want to share their story with me because they know that I'm a safe person, and I'm not going to tell anybody. And the stories make me cry. Like, it's just the stuff they tell me. But even if nobody ever knows their story, at least they shared it and got it out with somebody. And hopefully they share it with a therapist or a professional. I'm not saying that I'm somebody that can make it all better, but just know that there is somebody there that will believe you. And thank you so much for everybody who's come on my podcast to share their stories. And I hope we wouldn't have these stories. I would hope that one day these stories would end, and there would not be any more stories of these people that escaped this place with these horrific stories. I wish that it would come to an end and I wouldn't have to. Or
Yeah, no doubt.
right. But thank you again so much, Vicenta. And I wish you all the best and more healing. And you were very brave.
Therapy. Lots of therapy.
Oh, awesome.
Yes.
You're a beautiful soul, beautiful person. And I'm so glad that you're still here with us, and you matter, and there is life after the Potter's house. We're proof.
There is life after the Potter's house. Yes.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.